Hello and welcome back to Infinite Icons. This is part 2 of podcast with Tahera Rene Christy. She explains the nuances of entrepreneurship and various resources you can utilize. If you haven't watched part 1 already, please take a moment to watch it. We hope these videos from Infinite Icons are a value addition to you. Please leave us a line and subscribe for more. Enjoy part 2 of podcast with Tahera. What are your initial learnings, unforgettable learnings from your earlier business ventures, the really, really early ones? What have you learned?
How much time do you have? Just kidding. You can see I can talk. I'll summarize. So I have been selling my entire life. I started selling newspaper subscriptions, San Francisco Chronicles, door to door in Berkeley, California when I was 13 years old. I don't even know if it was legal for me to have that type of job, but I was making about $300 a week because I was really good at it. And I opened up my first bank account when I was 14 years old. No parent was there. I don't know how I did it. God bless you, Bank of America. But either way, I was putting money in that $300 a week in 1993, 1994. I had so much money at that point. I was writing checks to my friends. I was like, would you like $10? I have a check and I want to sign it. And so I was a giver. I was a hard worker. I was consistent. I received rejection well from a very young age. I remember the first time ever I rejected. Sorry, side note, but it's really good. I remember the first door I ever knocked on. I was like, hi, my name's Tahera and I'm selling newspaper subscriptions for the San Francisco Chronicle. Would you like, I'm selling them for, I think I said, a scholarship for college. Would you like to buy one from me? They were like, no, thanks. Close the door. I cried on their doorstep for a good hour. I was so rejected. But then my manager came over. He's like, it's okay. Like, you're going to get a lot of people that tell you no, but like, let's celebrate the ones that say yes. And from that moment on, I was like, my goal is the yes. Even if you say no, I'm going to find a way for you to say yes to me. Even if it's just yes to a smile, yes to a, how are you doing? Are you doing good today? Yes, I'm doing, oh, great. I'm going to find a yes. And so that has been my success in sales and my success in business. So when I started my DJing business, I found a way I was like, how do I get paid to party? I know, I'll be in charge of the music. I'm really good at this and I like to dance. So I taught line dancing. I was a good singer. So I used to sing for people's wedding. I've sung at everybody's wedding and everybody's funeral. And so I was like, how do I get paid to dance? I started teaching line dancing. How do I get paid to be an actor? I started doing television commercials and acting. These are all business ventures that I was just able to pursue because I wasn't afraid of rejection. First of all, when you're an actor, you audition constantly and you're always told no until you're told yes. And I went in every situation with my A game, knowing that I was the best for the job, whether they believed it or not, I did. And so I think that my persistence, my confidence, my focus on what I wanted, people seeing not only my intention, but that I was a unique right for that particular job, even if I didn't fit their description. And even now, as I fill out applications for grants and other things that I'm pursuing, I don't care if they're looking for a Chinese man who works in a grocery store in New York, who has 13 children and is a migrant from Venezuela. None of that's me, right? So it could not be for me. I'm filling it out because the worst you can tell me is no. And no is just a word. It doesn't have meaning until I assign meaning to it. So my early years of entrepreneurship set me up for today because you can think you're going to tell me no. Oh, but I'll find a way to have you say yes. And it's my personality. I've invested in that. I feel like growing up, a dark-skinned Black girl who was fat my whole life and was told that I was ugly and wouldn't amount to much. And I had a mouth on me, really helped me because I was like, I'll prove to you otherwise. And now I'm told I'm beautiful and I'm smart and I'm a great business person. And wow, people should listen to you. And wow, that was amazing. I'm like, everything they said I was, I do not receive. I did not accept, and I rejected. And now I've created the terminology, the words, the essence, the energy that I choose to receive that serves me. And my entrepreneurship journey literally reflects that, because I've always made money in every single space I've gone into, because I go into spaces where my talent lies, and I'm multi-talented. So people were like, you shouldn't do that. That doesn't work. This day's not going to work. This event's not, it's going to fail. You're not good at that. I'm like, bet, let me show you, because apparently you're not a believer. And I'm petty like that. So the people who usually hit on me, I invite them to my grand openings. I invite them to my events. I invite them to watch me succeed, because you told me no. And it's the worst thing you tell a person who's, first of all, in competition with themselves. I'm not competing with you. I'm competing with me. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm always going to win. So they're always just like, wow, she pulled it off. And I always will. So don't test me, because I'll prove you wrong just for the sake of it.
You
That's
go, girl. You go.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. That was brilliant. Yeah. So if you were to start your career today, would you actually do anything differently?
Great question. No, I don't live my life in regret, because I'm in this energetic flow with the universe and God is making everything happen in the timing that it is abundantly worth it for me. My highs, my lows, whatever comes my way, good, bad, or indifferent, I receive it as a lesson, a blessing, or an opportunity. And so I feel like these last 4 years, for example, of Amor Pro, I started off my business in the green. I was highly successful. My first month, I made $20,000, and I was like, I didn't expect to go into business to be in business. I just wanted to sell some smudge sprays and be on Etsy and just, have things available that are handmade for people to kind of check out. I didn't have the terminology or the push. It was I'm also shy, which is really funny, because people are like, you're shy, you perform, you're on TV, you do all these things. I'm an extroverted introvert. I know how to be extroverted at the time that is necessary, but I whittle away in the dark by myself, quiet in my home, doing what I do, because I love my peace. And I feel like the lessons that I've learned from the highs and lows and the ups and downs that I've experienced, they're very similar to the world of sales. When you're in sales, it can be feast or famine. Again, if you're on commission only, you have really great months where you've built up your pipeline and you've got great sales and it keeps coming, but then is that truly sustainable? Because it takes a lot out of you to keep that consistency when you're doing it by yourself, right? And so learning the importance of a team was a process I needed to learn, because I've always done so well on my own. I feel like that same way when I got married. I was just like, I don't need a man. I've been a great single mom. This is working. And then suddenly my husband came along. I'm like, wow, I think I want a husband. It dawned upon me, and it was God's timing, because if it had happened 5 years before that, I would have been like, I'm good. And I could have passed up an opportunity for a great man to come into my life. So I feel like everything happens for a reason. I feel like my husband taught me, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just because something bad happens doesn't mean that everything's done or you failed completely. I fail up, and I fail often, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with trying something, throwing some things at the wall to see what sticks. And if nothing sticks, going back to the drawing board and starting over again. I think so many of us feel like, we're like a navigation system. We have one route in mind, and the navigation is going to take us from point A to point B. And we don't think about the AA and the AAA and the BBB and all the points between A and B that can happen, because entrepreneurship is not this, it is this. And it fluctuates always, like a stock market, right? And so I feel like my stock at times, if I was to compare my entrepreneur journey to a stock, sometimes it's been a stock that's consistently $20 a share, but it's got great dividends, right? It's not going up. You don't see the fluctuations. It's pretty consistent, but I'm still over here sidelining some money that really is supporting me, or some education or people, resources, networks that are really benefiting me. And then there are times where the stock is going, it's $3.50 a share, but there's not a lot of dividends, but there's money there, but that money doesn't sustain you. It can burn you out. And so I've experienced burnout in the last 4 years, at least twice. And I've learned how to recognize those signs, when to back off, even when the money's good, so that I can be consistent. My goal is to have dividends and a consistent stock price that will go up but in time. I'm here for the long haul. And I think so many entrepreneurs are like, let's get in, make the money, let's get out. Cool, cool, cool.
Right.
But there's something beautiful about having sustainability and longevity. That's why McDonald's has been around for almost 100 years, or Disneyland's been around for almost 100 years, because there's been consistency and there's a standard that has been set. There's a process that's been in place. There's consistency there. So that's my goal. And there's still creativity, you know. The McRib does come out from time to time. I can respect the journey. I don't regret a thing. I'm very grateful for my journey. I'm a better person because of it. And I feel like everything happens for a reason.
Excellent. So going by all these learnings and experiences, back then, did you think that it was a failure? But now, today, looking at it, it looks like a great step to your success. Is there any such moment?
Oh, so many. Yeah, you know, so many. When I first started Amor Pro, I just think there's so many. Okay, let me focus. This I look at my Google listing, right? My Amor Pro on Google. And Google has this ability to upload pictures, and you can do reviews. And I've got so much data on there because I was really on top of my Google account, especially when I first started my company. And there are all these pictures of the products that I have created since I began. Products that are no longer available. I don't make them anymore, or there are products that failed. People bought them, they loved them, but I was like, ooh, I don't like this product. Like, doesn't work for me. I don't care for the ingredients anymore. I don't like the packaging, whatever the issue was, that I pulled it off. And I have 350 SKUs. I'm now down to 60, which is still a lot, but I've eliminated well over 200 SKUs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I look at those old products that I was like, oh, that one didn't work for whatever reason. Oh, I didn't like that one. And I'm like, you created 350, almost 360 SKUs.
See?
Give yourself that moment of
Absolutely.
recognition, of grace, of wow, that you, and people used to ask me all the time when they see my pop-ups, because I would do pop-ups here around Southern California, from San Diego up to Santa Barbara, and I've done them all. And I'd have I'd literally come up an hour before the pop-up. I'd set up shelving, and I'd had tables and had things hanging from the shelves. I had clothing racks, and people would walk in. They're like, I feel like I'm walking into a store. And I'd do that 4 times a week, where I'd set up a store, and there were products for days, and I literally could fill up an entire store. And they were like, yeah, who's your manufacturer? I'm like, me, I did all this. And this is always you made all of this? Yes. In my ADD mind, this is nothing. There's more at home. Thousands of bars of soap, tons of lotion, soaps, t-shirts, candles. I had all these products. And they were like, how are you're selling 4 days a week, and I'm making 3 days a week. How are you doing this? Well, number one, I'm crazy. I'm just crazy. Okay. Just crazy. But number two, I have passion for this. And so the aha moment was, chick, you the bomb. I don't know if you recognize this, but you the bomb. This is a lot. The average person could never. And I had to I'd taken pictures of my products. I'd never taken pictures of all of my products together. And I was like, damn. It's just like floored. And so I had that wow moment that you did that. Like, you are worthy. You are awesome. And not in a boastful, braggadocious. It was a confidence building moment, because again, I'm just whittling away as the introvert that I am in my kitchen, making things that I hope people love, that my reviews would suggest that they really connect with. And so I never lived in regret, but I oftentimes had issues with acceptance of my greatness. And once I saw it tangibly, there was nothing to regret. You're awesome. And I said that to myself and reminded myself of that. And that helped me to feel the confidence to really dive deeper and go higher into this entrepreneurial experience.
Isn't that beautiful? Wow,
Yeah.
bravo. Yeah. I can imagine. I mean, you amongst all your creations, and it's joy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it. I
absolutely.
really do. I put my heart and soul into it. And I feel that the people who, I see it in the reviews of people who write what they write in the inboxes that I get. And I'm like, you guys stop inboxing me. Just say it publicly, please. But it's sweet. Thank you. Because they're like, they know the artist and they're just like, wow, like the compliments I've received. And, being an actor and people, like, oh my God, I saw you on TV. I appreciate the sentiment, but it doesn't do anything for me. It's like, okay, for me, it was a job. I got paid for it. It was fun. And you happen to see it on a television screen. And so it does something for other people that it doesn't necessarily do. My thing is, was I helpful? Was it kind? Did it benefit you? Can you, is it something you would recommend to somebody else? Because that is the pursuit for me. Because if I'm putting out garbage product with my name on it, I don't want it. I want it to be of value to someone, because there's plenty of products out there that do nothing for you that you will spend your hard-earned money on. And my integrity would suggest that I don't want you to do that with me.
So, how do you tackle the issue of maintaining consistency yet keeping up with the ever-changing trends and demands? That's pretty, I don't know how to handle that myself.
That is a lot. For me, I write everything down. I've got an amazing book of recipes that are digitalized. I follow everything to a T. I measure, and if I do change something, it has to go through the website, and it goes through a process in order for me to change. And that's why I've maintained control of my recipes, because I can change it. If my customers are like, oh, this ingredient I don't like, or this, have you tried using this? I listen. Again, the empathy in me. I hear my customers, and I respond to it. And that's why my products have stayed amazing. And if they weren't already good, they become great with the feedback that I get from my customers. But the consistency really is the key. I think a lot of my beginning products were super complicated because I like a challenge, and I was like, ooh, this will be fun to try. And I'm like, whoa, keep it simple, T. Especially with my my soaps. I love the beauty of swirls and layers and all those things, but they're very complicated to duplicate. If I make something with flowers on it, like creating that same bar it's science, but it's also art. So it's almost impossible. So I've dumbed down some of my more artsy things so that they can be consistent. And I've scaled down to the bars that people buy the most, for example. So that's been a way for me to be able to manage that. And then my creative outlet is custom orders. I love custom orders. So when people come to me, they're like, I've got a wedding, I've got a premiere, I've got a corporate event. Great. What sense are you thinking? And I love to get them excited about exploring what they can do, because I'm like, oh, goody, project. And I love that. So I have the things that I have to do that are consistent, the products that people love, that they are on subscription and they buy every month. And then I've got the things that I can allow myself to have my creative outlet, because I do need both. I have, again, the duality in me requires both the left and right brain to function at the same time.
Oh, well balanced, very well balanced. All right. So, what's your advice to someone who wants to start a business? Probably just graduated out of college, and these days it is like walking into Starbucks because the choices are so overwhelming. You don't know what exactly, and it's almost like if you figure out what you want, half of your problem is solved. But that is a bigger problem itself. So
Yeah.
many choices. So how
So
do you
many.
pick one?
And it's funny because I love Cheesecake Factory for that reason, but I get the same thing every time. Of all this choice. Yet I find myself restricting myself because I know me, and then indecisiveness can stifle. And especially young folk, when you mention young people coming out of college, this generation literally was born into a space where they have access to everything. Every time one of my kids asks me a question, Mommy, what is this? I'm like, have you Googled it? I literally don't even need to be a resource anymore. Now I'll tell you, I'll tell them what I know about it. But I'm like, you have access to everything. Whereas my poor family, we had encyclopedias and we were missing 95% of the letters. We may have E, we
Yeah.
probably A and F and maybe Z, but we didn't have T. If you wanted me to look up turtles, I couldn't tell you anything about them.
Mm.
Because you have access to everything, you've got to also find the discipline for the one thing. And that's to start off. So for me, the one thing I started off with hand sanitizer, and I cultivated my hand sanitizer, and because it was popular at the time, and it was a product that I really loved and people really liked of mine. And then I branched out to different flavors of my hand sanitizer. So there was variation within that, but that was the main product for a very long time. And then when that kind of shifted, I was able to use my capital to create other things, in order to expand. But the best advice is to focus on the one thing. It's easy to expand. It's really hard to scale down. And that was my problem, is I had so much scaling down. It's like, how do I tell my customers who are consistently buying, well, sorry, that's not available anymore. It's really hard. I'd rather take back a no that was already a no than take back a yes. Yes, you can have it. You know, I want to over deliver. I don't want to over promise, right? And so I feel like if you do your research and know thyself, know what you're good at, know what you enjoy, know what your intentions are with what you want to do, understanding who you are and what you bring to the world, what serves you, what would not burn you out, but get you excited to wake up every morning to do. Whether you're an influencer and you love makeup and you just want to show people how to do makeup, get yourself a lipstick line or a gloss line. It's too easy to start a business nowadays, especially with the power of influencers. If you're really good at baking, start showing off your cakes and your cookies and give them out to people. Videotape yourself doing that. Figure out what your niche is, what your passion is, what you're excited about, and go into that and fail and know you're going to fail. And be okay with failing, but have all the optimism and the mindset to win that you can. Because if you go into it feeling like, it's not going to work, well, it's not. You're right. Like whatever your mindset is, you're going to be right. Like my thing is, my flaws are part of my freedom. Like I have the freedom to make flaws. Whereas if I was in a corporate setting, my flaws could be the termination of me. And people define themselves by their jobs. So many people, like I'm a doctor. Okay, great. That's your profession. That's not who you are. And when you make it who you are, if you fail at that, then you start questioning your own humanity. And that's just a position. That's literally, you're still, even as a doctor, even if you're on your own practice, you're still working for someone. So being an entrepreneur, you are literally on your own. So figure you out so that you can go into whatever it is confidently, knowing that the research is out there, the data is out there, the information is out there, the customers are out there. Don't rely on your family. Don't rely on your friends to be your customers. Go to the world because it's available to you. There's just too many resources out there to say that you can't try. So try often, and you can win.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, so that brings us to the risk factors. How could you tell if it is a smart risk or being reckless?
Yeah, so there's two schools of thought on that as well. There are the analytical folks who are completely 100% data driven based on what the industry is suggesting, based on sales from other competitors and how they have functioned, based on location. If you're selling into a specific niche, if you're offering a service, like you mentioned with me with my consulting company, do I only cater to women? I want so badly just to cater to women because that's what my consultant tells me to do. But I'm like, I love everyone. I don't want to block a blessing. If there's a man who wants to pay me to consult him, great. But I personally feel like he probably would connect more with another male, but I don't want to be restrictive in that way. So there's a way to go with data and win. But then there's always the creative side of any art form. And I believe business is also an art form. There's a lot of luck and there's a lot of creativity in business. And those two pieces are often missed because, again, people are focused solely on data and solely on the finances. And to me, because I'm an energy driven person, I'm a spiritual driven person, the money comes. I can't tell you how many checks and opportunities have come out of the blue. I didn't forecast for them, but here they are. Based on my statistics, I should have this amount of revenue coming in. These type of customers should be buying this product, but yet here is the status of that particular, like I have. So I think paying attention to both aspects can give you a good risk assessment to understand what's going to work for your specific business model, because it will not work across the board. And trial and error is ultimately the biggest test of time. I have a friend of mine, a friend of a friend, who started working with products similar to mine before I started them. Like I wasn't even thinking about them. And she was working with them, but she was so stifled to start. I don't even think to this day she started her business. It's been 4 years. And she had a great business model. Like her products were amazing, but she was scared. She's like, but what about insurance? When do I pay taxes? How do I get an EIN? What? It was all the what ifs. You cannot go into business with more anxiety than confidence, with more worry and fear than you do acceptance and grace and, just figure it outness. Figure it out. I got insurance a year after I started my business. That means for a year I was insuranceless. So it means if I were sued, I would have been toast. But thank God I wasn't. And I was able to gain that as I went along. Is that my advice for everybody? No, I was lucky in that sense. But do you have to have all your T's crossed and all your I's dotted to make money? Absolutely not. There's somebody right next door to me right now selling plates of fried chicken out of her kitchen. I doubt she has even a EIN or a fictitious business name, but people love her food. Am I going to stop this woman or report her? No. The reality is we're all trying to do something in order to make, but is she passionate about it? Can I teach her the things she needs to know? Absolutely. And that's the point. If you put yourself out there enough, the risk won't be there because the reward is going to be greater. Again, how many companies are being sued now because they've made their millions and they're just paying back dividends of those millions after the fact? So I think it's a fallacy to believe that you can't be successful right from the start.
Right. So right. Yeah. And what about those lulls and very slow moments in business? There are rapid rivers, of course, and there are very, very slow, and sometimes even you can feel stuck. How do you handle those moments?
Oh, I know those moments all too well. As a business who started off successful and then had a lull and then got successful again and had another lull, I probably have had in the last 4 years, 8 lulls, whether they lasted 3 weeks a month to 3 months. Sometimes, I think I had one that was almost 4 months. Because for me, summertime, remember, I'm a pop-up queen, so I was always outdoors. Summertime does not work for my industry. I'm working with natural products, things melt. So the summers, and I have kids, so I took my summers off. That was a lull because like, what can I do besides selling online to make money? So during those times, I got creative. I found new ways to market products that were conducive for that time frame. Having seasonal products, offering things that were only available during the summer, having flash sales, liquidating inventory, finding new platforms to sell on. I now sell on Amazon. All my products are with them. They got a whole warehouse that is temperature controlled for my particular products. So those were ways for me to be able to take it out of my hands to do and put it in the hands of other spaces that I could still make money. Like I was on vacation last week. I sold a ton of things and I wasn't even here and I didn't package one thing. It was great. So finding new ways to pivot so that you can still make money during those downtimes is going to be key. Don't just sit on your butt and twiddle your thumbs and say, oh, I'm not making money. Well, how can you? Let's do some research. Let's figure out what other means to an end that you can get and get creative and get another brain going, someone else who can kind of do a think tank with you to give you some ideas that can help you to flourish.
Yeah, that's a very good input. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, so we're almost at the end, and we have fast 5 questions where you can give me a 1 word to a sentence long answer.
Okay.
Starting with, what would you pick, a 9 to 5 or run a business?
Run a business.
All right. And what are you still working on as an entrepreneur?
Great question. On new levels of faith.
All right. So you need something to step up or something.
I leap off mountains all the time and I'm like, whee, let's see what happens. The level that I'm at, it's fine. There's another level and I want to get there so bad. And I know once I get there, I'm like, there's another level. I want to get there so bad. Right. So I'm past some levels that I didn't know how. I remember my first year of business. I had no idea. Okay. Like when I say no, I had no idea of anything. I felt dumb, just to say it plainly. I felt dumb. And my husband will remind me, he's like, you've never done this before. You don't know what you're doing. And that's okay. And this is where your faith comes in, because you got to ask God, okay, Lord, what next? Because I've never seen this before. My business bank account has never had this many digits. What do I do? So that's when I sought out the help. That was my first cohort. That was my first incubator. That was my first accelerator program. I was just like, and online researching. And so I sought the help that I needed. I got the education that I needed. I don't feel dumb anymore. Even though there are moments where I'm like, I don't know what to do, but I got resources. I got people I can turn to. I got smart people all around me that I can turn to and be like, how do I do this? And they answer my questions. So yeah, just new levels of faith. Keep going.
Beautiful. What is the strength of your business?
Integrity.
And what thrills you as an entrepreneur?
Thrills me. Okay. Every new sale.
Okay. Oh, cool. And what is that one word that describes you?
Excited.
Excellent, excellent. How could people contact you in case they want a line of beauty products or some advice on business?
And so I have a link tree that links everything in there. So my link tree is at Tahera Rene, TaherARene. My other link tree is Love Amour Propre. It's LoveAmourPropre. And you're always welcome to go to my website, amourp.com. I also have Tahera.co. And you can find me on social media with all of those hashtags and @ signs. So at Tahera Rene, at Love Amour Propre.
Excellent. Amour Propre is such a beautiful name.
Yes.
It's a French word, right?
French for self-love. So all of my products invoke that feeling of self-love and self-worth, because so many of us do not take time to value ourselves. We tend to value other people outside of ourselves, but it's that precious time to just love on yourself and remember that you are worthy, and not because of who you are, but because you are.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today, and it was wonderful and beautiful talking to you. I myself learned so much, and I hope our audience also will learn a lot and be benefited.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you, Jay. I really do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.